I think it's pretty safe to say that by far, one of the big exciting elements of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker has all to do with the fact that J.J. Abrams will be using many different pieces of Star Wars Legends material in the upcoming The Rise of Skywalker film in order to tell a very unique and original story for the fans. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, Disney and Lucasfilm are always known for cherry-picking from the EU, also known as the Expanded Universe, all the content that came after the release of Return of the Jedi throughout the 1990s and the early 2000s. You know, many of the hardcore fans love the books, the novels, the comics, the video games, so on and so forth. And that brings us to The Rise of Skywalker, where a lot of Legends material is now going to be made canon in different ways by Disney. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions, this is where things begin to get very exciting for Episode 9. Now, specifically, a description of a sequence where it's explained that Kylo Ren and his Knights of Ren are said to be traveling within the shrines of the Sith location, where they are in search of a dark side secret that will offer new knowledge of the ancient Sith. It's described that one of the sequences is said to involve a moment in which the Forger is guiding Kylo and the Knights of Ren throughout the shrines, showing them a group of the most powerful Sith Lords that lived during the Old Republic era. It's explained that the Forger begins to pass a large statue that stands around 50 feet high, that is described to be a very powerful Sith Lord shrine, named Starkiller, also known as Cain Marek. It's described that the statue of Starkiller is said to involve him wearing a strange helmet with his gloves that have blades attached to the fingers, which is a nod to one of Starkiller's appearances in the Force Unleashed video games. However, it's said that this is Disney's way of bringing Starkiller into canon. It's a different take on the character, that this was not Vader's apprentice, but rather a powerful Sith Lord who lived during the Old Republic era. It's explained that this character was very close to the character of Kylo Ren, and was a great ally of Kylo Ren. That was the one that came up with the idea of Starkiller Base before he died, basing it off of his greatest ally before he perished. Since Kylo Ren was the master of Snoke, this is how Snoke picked up the plans of Starkiller Base and created the weapon based on his master's ancient ideas. The real name of Starkiller also changed from Galen Marek to Cain Marek under the new canon planned by Disney and Lucasfilm. So let's go over a couple of parts about this. Now, if you're like me, you love the EU, right? You love the Expanded Universe. Of course, there are some elements of the EU that went a little too far to the point where you roll your eyes. But I gotta say, for the most part, I love the Star Wars Legends material, and the fact that they are cherry-picking into now the video games of the Expanded Universe, specifically The Force Unleashed, and pretty much reintroducing the character of Starkiller into The Rise of Skywalker in a different way in the form of a shrine. Now, mind you, this is going to be a quick little segment that the Forger pretty much explains to Kylo and the Knights as they pass by, walking through the shrine to the Sith location. However, what's really intriguing about this is that the character of Starkiller is not actually said to be Darth Vader's apprentice, or once was Darth Vader's apprentice. That's not the case under Disney's canon. Rather, it's actually that he was the most, or one of the most powerful Sith Lords that lived throughout the Old Republic era, being a very close ally to that of Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren was the master of Supreme Leader Snoke, and both Kylo Ren and Starkiller came up with the ideas of developing a weapon called Starkiller Base, which was essentially the Death Star mixed with a regular world. Now, this was also to be actually picked up and adopted by Supreme Leader Snoke, hence why it's called Starkiller Base in The Rise of Skywalker. Now, also, of course, you know, Starkiller Base, you can look at it like a callback to Luke Skywalker's original name in Star Wars A New Hope, when George Lucas originally called him Starkiller. And the fact that they changed his name from Galen Marek to Cain Marek most likely has something to do with Jyn Erso's father being named Jyn, or should I say Galen Erso. You know, the fact that they are trying to shift names around and change the identities of certain characters and exactly where and when they really lived is exactly what Disney seems to do with the current Legends content that's making it its way into Star Wars canon material. In fact, if you look at Kylo Ren, he basically, by design, is the canon version of Darth Revan in a sense, where, you know, he has that element of the light side and the dark side, and he's got a very familiar looking mask as well with the hood over it. Very much, you know, reminiscent to that of Darth Revan's design. So, with that being said, the Starkiller base tie-in, I think, is clever. I think it's very interesting that J.J. Abrams is kind of trying to make it more than just a little callback to Luke's original name in Star Wars A New Hope, and really connecting it to Star Wars Legends material from the expanded universe some years ago in the mid-2000s, when the Force Unleashed video games were a real big deal. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.